On June 24th, 2010, in the Wimbledon's first round, American John Isner took on Frenchman Nicolas Mahut. And little did they know, they would end up playing the longest tennis match in Wimbledon history. Behind these tennis athletes and what happened in this crazy matchup today on Daily Sports History. Welcome to Daily Sports History. I'm Ethan Reese, your guide to a rapid deep dive into sports history every day. And today's trivia question is, what was the longest women's singles match of all time? Now to start out, let's jump into both of these tennis players and see how they got to this point. Now John Isner, born in Greensboro, North Carolina, and started playing tennis at the age of 9. And didn't take long before he got really into the game and started taking it seriously at the age of 11. And he led his high school team to the state championship in 2001. And this led him to continue tennis in college, being recruited by the Georgia Bulldogs, where he had a college career record of 143 wins and 28 losses in singles and 140 wins and 27 losses in doubles, and was regularly ranked as the top tennis player across the country in the NCAA. And he actually won the 2005 NCAA doubles title with his partner Antonio Ruiz Rosales. And in 2007, he won the team event versus Illinois and made it to the singles finals, where he lost in 3 sets, ending his college career. But shortly that same year, he would turn pro and would quickly climb up the ranks. And he would be the 23rd ranked player in the world, heading into Wimbledon in 2010, where he would face off against Frenchman Nicolas Mahut. And Nicolas was born in Angers, France, and he started training in tennis at the age of 5 and joined a tennis club in Paris at the age of 11, playing in juniors around the world, including the coveted Orange Bowl, which was one of the major tournaments for junior tennis in 1999, and played in the Wimbledon boys singles in 2000. Turning pro that same year. And in 2003, he actually broke into the top 100 for the first time. And he also competed in doubles and won his first doubles title at the Open des Moselles tournament. And in 2005, he actually broke into the top 25 in doubles as well. And by 2010, he had over 50 career singles victories and was flirting with being in the top 100 and the top 150. Entering into the Wimbledon 2010 tournament, he was actually a qualifier, which meant he participated in qualifying tournaments to get his spot into Wimbledon and was ranked 148. And in that first round, we saw John Isner, the favorite, go up against Nicolas Mahut. And it all started at 6:13 p.m. on a Tuesday, June 22nd, 2010, on court 18 at Wimbledon. So up until 2010, the longest men's single match was at the 2004 French Open. It was a first-round match where Fabrice beat Arnaud in 6 hours and 33 minutes and lasted 2 days. And since 2010, there have been 2 other matches that have lasted over 6 hours. And they were both at the Davis Cup in 2013 and 2015, but still were nowhere close to what happened at Wimbledon in 2010. And just for reference, the longest women's match was at the 1984 Central Fidelity Bank Invitational, where American Vicki Nelson beat fellow American Jean Hepner in the first round with a match that totaled 6 hours and 31 minutes, which is impressive because the women's game also only plays the best of 3 sets, where the men play best of 5. So John and Nico's, and at this time, the Wimbledon only had lights on their center court, and this was court 18, one of their preliminary courts, and they usually only use the center court for the finals and semifinals. And the match started on the second day of the 13-day Wimbledon tournament. And Wimbledon is one of the Grand Slams in tennis. Each Grand Slam is played best of 5 sets. And to win a set, you need to either be the first to get to win 6 games or win by 2. And a game consists of basically 4 points. Love is 0, 15 is 1, 30 is 2, 40 is 3, and game is 4. So once you get to 4, you win out. You often hear them call like 30 love or 30-15, and that's the point system for tennis. And you also have to win by 2 for these games. And you often hear if they're tied at 40, they call deuces, which means they're tied. And after 2010, they changed the rules where before you played the tiebreakers through every set, but after this long tournament, this long game, they changed the rules to make it that now they only do it in the 5th set. So the game started without incident, but many worried as the late start happened, which is common sometimes in these tournaments because tennis is not a timed game, so you're matched up after someone else playing on the court, so you have to wait for them to finish. And John Isner, the favorite, took the first set 6-4, but Nico took the second set 6-3, and the third set is when they really started to show the challenges as Nico won 7-6, but they had to go into 16 tiebreakers for Nico to finally get that win. And then Isner took the 4th set, which they also had to go to 10 tiebreakers. So already in the first 4 sets, it was a long time. It was almost 3 hours into the game, which 3 hours is about as long as a normal tennis match lasts. So they're going a little bit slower than normal. And at this point, it's 9:07 and there's no lights and daylight is fading. So they say they're going to suspend play and start the 5th set the following day at 2:05 p.m. And this is where things get interesting. They ended in the 5th set and they went to the tiebreaker. So these tiebreakers in tennis it's different than a normal set. Serves are alternated instead of one person serving that entire game. And so the first person serves one, the next person serves the next one, and then you do every 2. Then you do every 2 as one person serves 2 times, the next person serves the other 2. And you go back and forth until someone gets to 7 and wins by 2 or wins by 2. So you can win 7-5 or any variation or any number lower than 5, or you just keep going back and forth until someone wins by 2. And for Nico and John, ended in a tie, and they went to the tiebreaker. And this is where things went a little crazy, as no player was winning consecutive sets. It just went back and forth. No one could get those 2 wins. John failed to convert 4 match points on this day, being up 10-9. Failed to get the match point. Being up 33-32 also failed, and being up 59-58, he also failed. And by this point, they had already shattered the previous record for the longest game ever played. And Nico also had 2 match points as well during this time and failed as well. And when the tiebreaker was tied 50-50, the match was suspended due to darkness and would be played on a 3rd day. Now 50-50, that is a lot. That's each of those points is a game they played. They played for almost 7 hours this day. And when they finally suspended it, both John and Nico were devastated. They just wanted this to end. They didn't want to continue to go more and more. And the challenge was neither of them could sleep. They were antsy. They were excited. It's Wimbledon. It's one of the biggest tournaments, but they just couldn't sleep. Neither of them slept more than 3 hours that night because the game wasn't over. This is the first round of the tournament. And coming in the next day, each were kind of pretending that the other one had slept and were trying to be impressive where they could see each other warming up, acting like they were ready to go. But the truth was both of them were dead tired, dead exhausted, and just wanted this to be over. And so on June 24th, 2010, on court 18, still, they continued their match. And they went all the way to being tied 68-68 when Nico went up 30 love. But Isner came back and won 4 straight points to win the game, giving him a 69-68 lead in the tiebreaker. And it was Nico's turn to serve, and it was 15-15. And when he hit where he dove for a drop shot and fell into the ground, exhausted, and he said later that he probably would have made that shot and scored the point if he had any energy left to chase after the shot. That's why he dove after it. And they ended up tied back at 30-30. When Isner hit a shot cross court with his forehand just inside the line that Nico just could not reach. and getting him the lead 40-30. And this was the 5th match point and the first one on the 3rd day of this match and 14th overall break point for the match. And Isner converted a down-the-line backhand shot that made it right past Nico. And after over an hour and 7 minutes on this 3rd day of this match, John Isner had finally beat Nico in a tiebreaker set that went 70-68. The entire match lasted 3 days, a total playing time of 11 hours and 5 minutes, which was a world record, beating the previous time by over 4.5 hours. Funny enough, the scoreboard was struggling to keep up with this as it had never gone this high before. And it said 47-47 from the 2nd day all the way until they got it fixed for the 3rd day. But after the game, the two players embraced in a quick hug and handshake that John and Nico regret to this day that they didn't do more, but they were both exhausted and just kind of happy that it ended. Nico was happy to be a part of such a memorable time at Wimbledon, even though he lost, and John was happy to move on to the next round. But sadly, probably due to his exhaustion, John lost his next round the next day, and the match only lasted 74 minutes. It was the shortest match at Wimbledon that year. Now, both John and Nico were doubles for this tournament as well, and both their games were delayed due to their singles matches. But Isner had to withdraw due to blisters on his toe, and Nico lost his doubles match as well in 4 sets. And interestingly enough, they would meet 2 more times in the 2011 season. Once at the 2011 Hopman Cup in Perth, and again at Wimbledon 1 year later. And everyone wanted to see this great matchup again, and John Isner won in 3 sets. I think the match only lasted 2 hours and 3 minutes. And John finally retired in 2023 with 16 career titles, and his best finish at a Grand Slam, getting to the semifinals in Wimbledon in 2008. And his highest ranking was 8th in the world in 2018, and was able to accumulate over $22 million during his career. And Nico is currently still playing. He won a total of 4 career titles and was ranked as high as 37th in 2014. And his best finish at a Grand Slam was being in the 4th round at Wimbledon in 2016. He's had a much better career as a doubles player than in his singles career, has won every single Grand Slam in doubles and won 2 French Opens. And has a career earnings over $12 million. Though these two tennis players are not household names, many of us have never heard of them until this moment in 2010. But it was a great moment where everyone was drawn to the first round of Wimbledon, which no one usually remembers. And they also have put a plaque on court 18 commemorating the moment and the longevity of this great moment in tennis history. And I want to thank you for listening to today's Daily Sports History. If you like this, please follow us on all our socials. Daily Sports History on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. Follow us all there. We like to do little videos of each of our stories so you can get a quick video to go along with the story. And come back tomorrow for more Daily Sports History. And did you get today's trivia question? What was the longest women's singles match of all time? The longest women's match was at the 1984 Central Fidelity Bank Invitational, where American Vicki Nelson beat fellow American Jean Hepner in the first round.